most of the time, if you're okay, your kids are okay. If you're good, your kids are good. If you're a hot mess, your kids are a hot mess. Let's talk about starting fresh, starting over, possibilities. Your heart will be hung in wherever your home is. Great memories will be made wherever you make them. You can create a wonderful, fabulous, amazing family, and it doesn't matter what four walls you're in.
Divorce can be emotionally and financially overwhelming. That's why I'm teaming up with Sunny Wishart, president and founder of A La Carte Financial and a certified financial planner. We will show you how to understand all things money without feeling ashamed, overwhelmed, embarrassed. You will learn more, ask questions. No question is a dumb question. Welcome to Money with Sunny. Let's get into it.
Today, we're going to talk about the matrimonial home. And the clients that I work with, one of the main topics of conversation are, and one of the things that I hear all of the time are, I can't leave this house. I have to stay here. The kids have a lot of friends in the neighborhood. Their school is right down the street. I just like I can't do it. I can't leave the house. Now, the flip side of the coin is you can't afford to stay in the house on your own. You need to have payments coming from your soon to be ex husband, and this puts us in a predicament, and often in a risky spot. So when someone comes to you, Sunny, and they're just, they're sad, they're devastated, divorce was not something they had considered. We don't get married ever expecting to get divorced, and they come to you and they're just so focused on staying in their home. What do you suggest?
Let's look at it, because in the financial planning world, it's what are your goals? And your plan is going to be based on what this looks like. Your goal right now is to be in this home right now and remain and maintain that stability. Okay. We're going to do is we're going to look, what does that look like for you? And go from there. Sometimes it looks great. Sometimes it's ugly, but to just know what it would look like for you to stay in the home, and to also consider things like, okay, I want to stay in my home. Okay, well, for how long? Your kids are 14 and 16.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's just for the next 5 years or something like that. So I'm going to kind of dive into that too, because if it's for a shorter period, maybe we can do some real fancy footwork to make it happen. And ultimately you decide if this is something you are willing to commit to.
Do you think it's a good idea to count on support payments to be able to stay in your home? Do you think a woman should only stay in her home if she can afford to make all of the payments on her own, and then the support payments are gravy, are extra? Do you think um, it's critical to stay in the home for the health and well-being and emotional stability of the children? That's a lot of questions. You can start with whichever one you'd like.
I've got a thought process for this.
Okay.
um, it's more reframing of, can you support yourself staying in the home regardless of the kiddos? So, because kids are an added expense, like if you got a hockey kid or a rep sport kid or a kid with high needs that requires a lot of money coming at the door for medical or therapy or whatnot. So regardless of those expenses, what can you afford to stay in this home on your own? And then those support payments are to support the children's lifestyles, right? This is
Mhm.
kind of how I see it, because those support payments are finite. So there will be a document stating when they will stop. And if those support payments are paying your power bill and gas bill, that means you aren't technically able to live within your means. So I don't mind the support payments again being used to support a lifestyle you and your children are maintaining while you have the children. But I have seen it where once the first of all, the support payments are never guaranteed. So are you going to be okay a month or two without them too? Because that can and does happen more often than we'd like to admit. And there is not a lot of recourse for you there. Can you absorb a few months? It's like having a renter and they don't pay their rent.
Mhm.
Those are the risks of having that asset. Can you get by? So do you have a few months to get by in case those payments don't come in for whatever reason? And then when they do stop on this agreed upon time, I have seen women have to sell their home because they weren't honest with how much they needed to fund the home. And once the payments, one, they were dicey, but then they did stop, the house had to be sold because couldn't actually afford it and thought that they could.
And then when you're in a position where you have to sell, that's never a good spot to be in. In any real estate market, if you have to sell, you're often going to take whatever offer comes in, take less money than possibly than you could have received if you didn't have to sell. So yeah, I've worked with women as well, and this is a real tough one because home, that is your home for whether it's been 5 years, 15 years, 30 years. That's your home. That's where you've hung your heart. That's where all the memories are, and it's really difficult to even think about making a move. But I'm wondering if we talk about this right now for everyone that's listening, and we say, hey, let's talk about selling your matrimonial home. How does that look? Let's talk about starting fresh, starting over, possibilities. N- Your heart will be hung in wherever your home is. Great memories will be made wherever you make them. You can create a wonderful, fabulous, amazing family, and it doesn't matter what four walls you're in. Now, I know this because I transitioned through divorce 18 years ago. And I do know this for sure that you can create a family and an amazing family with your amazing kids. And it doesn't matter what home you're living in. So, do you think it's important then? And you can speak to this, Sunny, for a woman, especially, to really take a look at, all right, making a move, selling the house right now, and moving into a spot that she can afford on her own, regardless of any extra money coming in from anywhere. I think that wouldn't be a bad idea. And I just wanted to hear how do you feel about it?
Ooh, it's so personal, but um,
Mhm.
one, I think you just need to be open to your options.
Mhm.
I have a I kind of I could talk out of both sides of my mouth on this one. So first, exiting the real estate market can be so tough. So you exit, you take your part of the equity and you go settle somewhere temporarily, which no parent ever wants to do when they have children in the school system and things like that, and
Mhm.
thinking about school zones and all those things, and before after school care, depending on the kind of care you need. And then you've got to get back in the housing market while it's still roaring behind the scenes, and your money is parked, hoping you can get back into it in a few years. Um, that's a tricky thing. That is not a reason to go house poor and go bust in a house that you can't afford. It's just a consideration. So what I do is I put myself. What if my son is 8? What if my husband left me for some reason? I would have to sell. I can't stay in this home, and to live within my means would mean I would have to go rent something. And I actually looked at the numbers. Not that I think it's going to happen, but I don't want to also be blindsided if it does. I'm very open. We get a little bit hung up on this concept of home, and for many different reasons I see it. And it's not just like, oh, I want to stay in this house for the stability of my kids, but kids move all the time for 1,000 other reasons. So it's interesting how we could take a new job in Calgary and up and root our kids, no problem. But for some
Mhm.
reason, this
Mhm.
is the hard line, and no parent wants the home on the line. But it's just a piece of real estate, really. You can have the same furniture and the same feel anywhere you need to be. And kids are way more adaptable than anything, unless there are some special situations where that
Mhm.
isn't the case, which is why it's like I could talk it to both sides of the map. It
Mhm.
depends. Some children have certain needs where change they can't cope with, and they have to
Mhm.
stay. This could be so hard on their mental health, or other kids are super malleable. They up and go and no problem, make new friends anywhere they go. You got to know your kids too, if they can or can't cope with it. Um, and and what it looks like to stay in the home. Like, is this a sinking ship? If I end up like absolutely digging my heels down, and how long can I sink for? Okay, I could do this for about 3 years. Then you need an exit strategy. Okay, let's maybe do that. Let's put a pin, let's put a time frame on it, like short, medium, long term.
It's really emotional, the home, and 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 I found that digging your heels in, you know, and not knowing all the facts can be really dangerous. You can put yourself in a real predicament, and 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 sometimes we think we may, and you and I'm looking for your feedback here, but sometimes when we think our kids can't handle it, it's really us that can't handle it. And kids, like you mentioned, are fairly adaptable. I mean, if they have mommy and they have daddy and they have their bed and their blankies and their things and their yeah, and they're going to make they've got their friends around. You can, drive them over to their best buddies, and then soon enough they'll make best buddies right around the corner. Most kids can adapt, and they kind of feed off the story that you're telling them. Is it an adventure, or is it, well, your dad left me and now we got to move? I think the story that we tell ourselves, and the story therefore that the kids are hearing and telling their selves, is a huge part of this. So, when you're digging your heels in and you're saying, I have to stay here because, the kids' school they can't change schools. They have friends in the neighborhood. They've always lived here. They were born here. I mean, where am I going to go? I can't. I just got a new beautiful fridge. I can't leave that fridge. I mean, we get so attached to these things that that your financial future and your finances and your money and your estate planning and the money that you're going to pass down to your children and the stress of money out of your head is going to open up so much more opportunity and possibility than you even realize. And yeah, I get it. You can't see it. You just want to stay in your home. And I have seen this time and time again. So, what I suggest is home is where you create your memories. Home is where you hang your heart. And more important than staying in the home that you're in right now is creating the financial abundance and freedom for yourself so that you can go on a trip with your children. You can take them to Disney World. You can go to the park. You can take a day off here and there and just get ice cream and go to the movies with them. Like these kinds of things, this future focus, I think is really important. So so when someone, reaches out to you and you see what this is what you do for a living. So you see if they don't get a payment 1 month, they're screwed. So how do you talk to them about that? What do you recommend that they really think about, questions that they can ask themselves that have more meaning than just I have to stay here, because people get so determined and stuck on that it just overrides anything else and anything else that might be possible.
It gets heavy because,
It get- Mhm,
again, I present the facts. I am not to make the decisions. I can make recommendations. So I'm going to show you the facts of staying in the home. I'm going to show you any shortages, which is where this is how much short you'd be if that support payment didn't come in. And yeah, what does this look like for you, right? And then I'm going to ask you, how does that make you feel?
mhm,
And I'm going to want to hear from you when I show you these numbers. This is and how much this is if you wanted to scale back to live like your lifestyle, so that's just your shelter and your lifestyle and not all the extra stuff for the kids, which that's what the support payments are for, you're still short. So you technically, like, if I'm showing you you're not living within your means, that you as one person, um just how does it make you feel, and what kind of change are you open to?
mhm,
um we can scale back this lifestyle, and I can 100% make recommendations of where you can cut costs. But are you willing to do that too? Because it's a little of have your cake and eat it too sometimes. I want to stay in this house and I want to keep spending the way I was always spending. I want nothing to change. I just want he's out and that's it.
mhm,
Okay, well, that is a have your cake and eat it too situation. So, and this is where I guess we kind of still have to warm up to ideas. Okay, this is where here are some. How do you feel about cutting this expense? How do you feel about changing this? And if you're being stonewalled all the time, then the house has got to go. Your shelter costs are too expensive. Then you'll have to reduce those. Um, and I've presented with the facts, and then you have to go do some serious soul searching, really, about how much of this is. Sometimes I do feel like we're a little keeping up with the Joneses. This roof over my head is some sort of definition of who I am as a mom or
mhm, mhm,
as a person, and it's Is this our ego playing tricks on us? And, do we need to drill down a little bit on that?
Yeah, our ego, that's interesting. Yeah, our ego does get in the way sometimes. Ego's not a bad thing, but you have to be aware of when you're just your ego is happy to lose it all or win it all, has a hard time with in between. you know and it's this is real, this is really real conversation. If you're listening to this and you're feeling like, yeah, well, Wendy, I am staying in the house, I am staying here, I'm not moving, he did this to me and I'm not going anywhere, that's what you're thinking. I get it, but that kind of thinking is not going to create a financial freedom that, believe me, is awesome. So, just for a second, think this. Hmm, maybe I could sell this house. Maybe maybe I wouldn't have to look over there anymore where he always laid on the couch. Maybe I wouldn't have to look. Maybe I could paint the walls blue if I wanted to. Hmm, there's so much out there. Home is, you make your home wherever you are. So don't dig your heels in at the cost of losing all of your money and being financially dependent on someone else month after month after month after month. Because I've seen that. Sunny, have you seen that? And it
Oh,
is
yeah.
it's a rough place to be, just because you have to stay in this home because he did this and you're not going anywhere. Most of the time, if you're okay, your kids are okay. If you're good, your kids are good. If you're a hot mess, your kids are a hot mess. Like, I'm getting really kind of real here because I want you to have all that you deserve. Sunny wants you to have all that you deserve. And you can create a home anywhere. Take a look at the numbers. You work with someone like Sunny, you figure it out, use the magic of compounding interest. And by the time you're this age, you've got this much money all saved up. And a month a year, you're in the Caribbean. Well, that sounds like a plan. You can do this. But if you're stuck here, I gotta stay in this house, no matter, come hell or high water, I am not moving, might be a problem. Something to consider, something to think about.
Yeah, you want
So
to
if
know
someone,
that you can do your retirement. If staying in your home means you'll never retire, that's messy.
that's messy. That's messy, and something might happen to you. Let's face it, anything can happen. We don't know what's happening tomorrow. So if you're all tied up and every dollar counts, it's maybe not the best choice. So these are things for you to consider. So now, getting back to Sunny as a financial expert, if I come into you and 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 you see best option is for me to make a move, whether that be to rent something or scale down, would you be willing to show me all of my options and help me make that decision?
Oh, yeah. So in the planning world, we have uh, the type of plan we call like your current plan, which the whole plan is based on what we know today. So this is the base of what we know today. We can do projections from there. And then we do what we call alternative plans. And they're the what ifs. What if I this and what if I that? What if I uh, bought a house but rented the basement, had a rental unit, so I
Mm,
could generate an income stream for myself in retirement?
mm-hmm.
Things like that. Sure. We can put, if that's a goal of yours to have rental income stream, let's put it in your plan. Let's look at it. And this is what it looks like current. This is the what if. And we can do other what ifs. What if I rent the rest of my life? What is that
Mm,
going to look like? So we can say this is you liquidating your home. This is you renting the rest of your life. Or there's some neat opportunity, like some people have to leverage their home throughout
mhm.
retirement. I'm going to use my home to fund my retirement. Sure. Let's do the what if.
I love the what ifs. So everyone here, do the what ifs. I'm not moving no matter what. What if? 3 what ifs. You can call Sunny today and do 3 what ifs. It doesn't mean you have to do any of them, but it's great. Don't lock yourself into a corner. Don't lock yourself into a closet just because I am not moving. My kids don't want to move. Stop blaming your children. Think about this for yourself. Do the what ifs. I like that. I love the what ifs.
They're really
That's the
fun.
name. That's the name of today's show. What if? That's awesome. You could there's so many what ifs. And if you just take a look, wow, something might say, oh, an extra $1,000 a month. That sounds cool. Oh, some retirement money, a good chunk of change by the time I'm 65. That sounds kind of cool. There's so many options, and maybe the best option is to stay in your home. Awesome. But you've got to know your options. Well, I think the takeaway is what if?
And it's
I
nice to
know.
see like a broad stroke picture of, because we can use about these ideas all we like, but to see pen on paper and see
Mm,
charts and say, well, that what if is not as pretty as I thought it was, or that what if makes me way richer than I'd ever expected.
yes. Bingo. Call Sunny today. Get the what ifs. Oh, this is great. God, I'm going to call Sunny today and get the what ifs. I want to know what's going on. This is awesome. Yeah, there we go. All right. Well, thanks everyone for being here today. And we'll have all the links to how to reach Sunny below the show notes, in the show notes, and she's open for a chat. And she's the what ifs. She loves to talk about them. I know this. And yeah, till next week. Have a great week. We'll see you then.
Home is where you hang your heart and where memories are made. If you want to learn more, check out this video. We will show you how to get your financial documents organized without feeling overwhelmed, lost, and frustrated.